Welcome back to Our Health Inheritance. I'm Liz, and this is my story. Through my genetic counseling, my genetic testing, eventually my genetic results being that I was BRCA2 positive, and I chose to take my health into my own hands and do a prophylactic bilateral mastectomy along with an oophorectomy, which means I removed my ovaries and fallopian tubes, all in the hopes of preventing breast cancer and ovarian cancer since I was predisposed to both of those. The one other thing that also I have to be mindful of is my melanoma risk. It is elevated, so I do an annual screening for melanoma or skin cancer. I have so far, knock on wood, not had any issues in that department yet, but got to be careful. So, I also talked on my last post about a newer health challenge that I was faced with back almost 2 years ago. Actually, June, the first week of June will make 2 years. And that's when I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis or MS. So, I've been dealing with that actually in the last week because my stress has been a little higher. I've had some flare ups I've had to deal with, but it is definitely triggered by stress and being that you know, life is stressful. And I happen to be someone who likes to pack my schedule full. I like to take on a lot of things. It kind of is what keeps me going and keeps me happy. So I am working on how to manage that and find a way to just kind of reduce my stress, find a way to still feel like I'm doing enough and succeeding in life while not being stressed beyond belief. Because I really don't want to have any more new flare ups. I don't want any new lesions in my brain or my spinal cord that could cause a more lasting health effect. So I'm very fortunate in that I've had MS most likely for about 20 years or so, because looking back, we can think of all the strange symptoms I had, and we can look at the MRI and all the scarring on my brain and on my spinal cord and determined that, what I was experiencing for a little over 20 years was MS symptoms. We didn't know at the time. But more recently, actually just about a month ago, this was April 7th, I had received a new diagnosis, new results from a biopsy that I had. And this, my whole adulthood, I've been avoiding cancer and doing everything I can to not get breast cancer, not get ovarian cancer. And cancer caught up to me. So if you're going to have cancer, they say this is the best one to have, but it's still cancer. So it's thyroid cancer. And the real plan is to just remove my thyroid. So that is happening coming up on May 19th, just right around the corner. So I've been, just kind of doing a lot to prepare for that, all the tests and all the preparations and trying to get, everything in order. I should only be down for a short period of time, a couple weeks, I think 3 weeks off of work. But, it's not great. It's not what I wanted to hear. I've had nodules on my thyroid for many years. It was either pregnant or I just had my daughter when we first discovered the nodules. And we did do a biopsy back then. So back in 2011, the biopsy on one of the nodules came back clean, clear, benign. They did not do the second nodule. It is in a trickier location. So one's up here and one is down below my scapula. A little harder to get to. So they did not test that one back in 2011. So we really don't know if it was benign at the time. But, I've been taking an immune suppressant for about a year and a half now for my MS diagnosis and treatment. And this immune suppressant does open the door for increasing my risk of having cancer or getting cancer. So we don't know that that's the reason that I have cancer right now. We don't know if I've had cancer longer. Thyroid cancer, my endocrinologist told me, is a very lazy cancer typically. There are a few different types, but the type they hope that I have and think that I probably have is typically pretty lazy. It doesn't really like to spread. It's not really active. It's slow growing. So we just don't know how long it's been cancer, because once they marked it as benign back in 2011, I honestly took it off my radar. I knew the nodules were there, but I thought, hey, they're benign. They're fine. And it wasn't until my MRI this past December, which is like my annual MS MRI screening, they did the brain and my full spine, and when they did that, especially on the upper spine, they just said, "Whoa, what are those? What are those things?" And I'm like, "Oh, those are my nodules. They're benign. It's fine." But they did identify some characteristics on the MRI that told them that the nodules might not be fine. So they said, "Let's go ahead and do a ultrasound," which we did, and it returned back saying that it was, or the edges were suspicious. So with suspicious edges, they wanted to do a biopsy. And this time they did biopsy both the nodule up here and the nodule down below my scapula. So you'll see this is all bone right here, and it's below that. So it was really actually quite painful. They did numb my neck area. This is where they kind of accessed it, but I got like a shot of numbing, and then they would put in the needle to do the biopsy up here, and that was fine. That was easy to get to, but the one down here, it was, how do they call it? Ultrasound guided. So they're looking at it on the screen, but that nodule was really hard to reach, and the needle just kept pushing it, but it wasn't actually penetrating. And the pain medicine kept wearing off. So there was that. I was constantly getting an additional shot of pain medicine, but ultimately they couldn't give me any more, and so I just pretty much felt the whole procedure. And they ended up needing to use two needles, which was kind of a creative option. One needle held the nodule still, and the other needle penetrated it, and that's how they took the cells that they sent off to pathology. Well, when they received the results back, the initial results were inconclusive. So then they had to send it off to molecular biology, and that was doing like a DNA, RNA analysis. And then those results came back, and that's when I heard on April 7th, I heard the news that the one of them had like a 70% chance of being cancer, the top one, but the one below my scapula was definitely cancer. And they said that it is actually a more aggressive form. So we'll see. We're going to send all of the entire thyroid, I guess, will be sent off to cytology, to biopsy, or excuse me, to be biopsied. Yeah, to just, yeah, I don't know. I keep shaking my phone. But anyways, they are going to send it all off after the surgery, and then they will be able to clearly determine what type of thyroid cancer it is. It's unlikely that this one is actually genetic, because I only have one person in my family that's ever had thyroid cancer that we know of. And it's just not likely genetic. And the genetic form of thyroid cancer, I believe it's called medullary. That one is quite aggressive, but we don't think that's what I have. So we think it's probably, gosh, there's one called papillary, and I can never remember the third one, but it's most likely one of those. So I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling confident that removing the thyroid is going to handle this problem. I might have to have a radiation treatment afterwards, but they will determine that after everything comes back, from the lab. So we'll see. So I will do some posts depending on how I'm feeling, and just kind of take you guys through this process. And yeah, it was unexpected, not on my radar. I really wasn't expecting the results to come back as anything but benign, since it had come back benign before. But just another bump in this road we call life. So we got another week and a half before surgery, so I'm just doing what I got to do to get ready for it, and mentally, emotionally, but also just get life ready and make sure all my ducks are in a row. So I'll keep you guys posted. And if anyone's been through this, I'm going to have to be on thyroid medication. I'm going to have to, do a lot of blood work and things like that as part of the kind of like after effect of this. But I know a lot of people have been through this. A lot of people have had their thyroid removed, whether it's for cancer reasons or just because it was interfering. I know one of my friends that it interfered in her airway. These nodules can get quite large and become obstructive, even if they're not cancer. So a lot of times you have to remove it for those reasons. So I'd love to hear feedback and suggestions. Anybody been through this? I've talked to a few people already, but more information is great. And like I mentioned, this whole platform is because I believe everyone has a story to share and that we can learn from each other's stories. So this is my story, but you have a story too. And the person your sister, your mother, your neighbor, all have amazing stories, and everyone's been through so much, and we can all learn from each other. So I'd love to learn from those stories as well. Thanks.